Maitland, New South Wales. A once booming coal town, the town has since given way to tourism, with thousands of people flocking here each year for many events including Steamfest, the Maitland Riverlight Festival, plus many, many markets. It's also still a place of business, with the main Northern Line and the main North Coast Line branching off here at Maitland, plus the many engineering companies that serve the local coalfields. During the 1900s, Maitland was even a bigger town back then, with the Bradford Cotton Mill in Rutherford, plus so many more factories around the area. Do those people ever look back at the history of Maitland? They see something weird back in the 1920s. This photo is from High Street back in the day. And are those trams there? The Maitland Tramway was opened on February 8, 1909. The plan for the steam trams of Maitland were to somehow connect the local towns of Kurri Kurri, Cessnock, Homeville, which is now Tulare, and Rutherford. Originally it was hoped that the line could have been electrified. The government at the time, however, didn't think it was ideal and made economical sense to have an electric tram system. But instead they decided to give the ex-Sydney steam trams instead. The first of these trams were built in 1879 in the Baldwin Locomotive Works in Eddystone, Pennsylvania. The later units were made at the Randwick Tramway Workshops, which some of the last ones were built in 1923. However, by the time the Maitland Tramway was opening, many electric trams had started to work in Sydney, and the steam trams were slowly being withdrawn. To save the cost of scrapping them, the New South Wales government decided to give them out to tramways around New South Wales, including Maitland, in which Maitland got the Baldwin types. Now officially there was no map made of the tram route in Maitland, but thanks to local transport enthusiast Ken Magor, we have a roughly drawn map of the route. So from west to east we start off at Regent Street. Working upwards, the line went to turn onto High Street, and then went over the Long Bridge at Veteran Flat. The line then took a left and went past the courthouse. At the junction at Church Street, a loop line went down to West Maitland Railway Station, now Maitland Station. The line would continue through High Street and eventually going through what is now the levee. The line continued on High Street, passing what is now the All Saints College and the old Maitland Mercury editing office. Before 1916, the tram line went into what is now the High Street Railway car park, before crossing over the rails. This changed in 1916 when the overpass over the railway was opened. The line would then turn off High Street and onto Newcastle Street. Then it would go over Wallace Creek, while also passing some vintage houses. Then it ran on what is now part of the New England Highway, or the Maitland Bypass. It also passed what used to be Smith's Flour Mill. It then chucked a right at Melbourne Street, which was also near the Bank of Australasia. The line kept on Melbourne Street till it turned right at Day Street. This is where the Hunter River Hotel is located. The line kept running on Day Street past the old East Maitland Post Office, before it turned right once again onto George Street. Then it took a left onto Laws Street. This is where the Windsor Hotel is. The line terminated at where the post office now is in East Maitland. The tramway depot and terminus was located in this block of land near Hobart Street. It was also an interchange station, due to the fact that the Victoria Street Railway Station was a minute's walk away from the terminus. At the terminus, there was a waiting room and office for the tramway. As well as this, there was the main depot there. The sheds at the depot could hold 4 tram engines and 8 carriages. As well as this, there was a coal stage and water column provided. All repairs and repaints were done here. There was also the already spoken Maitland Station terminus, which used to connect to trains going to the north coast and northwest, as well as Sydney, and the Regent Street terminus. Both terminus sadly have no photos or footage, so a lot of information is unknown. Even though the steam trams operated in Maitland for 17 years, there were problems. The cost of the line was more than £24,000. One of the contributing factors to the hardships of the trams was the introduction of omnibus services and automobiles to the area. Many people were using these vehicles due to they could go faster and for longer distances. With all these factors against the tramway, it was inevitable what would happen next. As there was less passenger traffic on the trams, it was eventually decided that the tramway would close on the 31st of December 1926. It was just after 11 p.m. on New Year's Eve that the last official tram, carrying an enthusiastic crowd and driven by driver Rube Digby, made the last journey along High Street. Rube blew a cockle-doodle-doo on the motor's whistle, with a procession of cars following them with their horns blaring. At the High Street overpass bridge, detonators were placed on the tracks. This was sort of to say farewell to the trams. Following the closure, the rolling stock was sent to Newcastle, where it was placed in service, all sold and broken up. Work started on ripping up the rails in 1927. After that, the Maitland tramway faded into obscurity. As of September 2025, most of the Maitland tramway is unknown to the public. However, I do believe there is a memorial near the Lifeline shop at Maitland. Though if you think that all the steam trams have gone from New South Wales, that's not the case. At the Valley Heights Railway Museum, located in the Blue Mountains, volunteers had restored 103A. Originally, she operated the Parramatta Park steam tramway until an arson attack on the museum happened in June 1993. The fire destroyed most stock, with 1003A's wooden curb incinerated. But in 2005, the tram was restored by Valley Heights Rail Museum and has been there ever since. So while the Maitland tramway isn't widely known by the public, it is still remembered by many historians and transport lovers for many years to come.